So hi everyone, this is Non-Duality with Garland. So where do we start? So yeah, this shift, if you like, can occur as a shock, pleasant shock, or less pleasant, or for time can slide into this. It's basically coming into where you are. Um, So, with all the struggle of life, with all the striving, with all the chaos that life involves, sometimes, sometimes less so, everything comes to a stop. Time comes to a stop. Space comes to a stop. Everything um, just kind of dissolves. The sense of self, everything. So, everything is seen to be one. There's just oneness. Um, no inner, no outer, no here, no there. So, no sense of location. Just deep peace, which was always there. It seems pretty obvious that it's always there, but it wasn't accessed. The mind gets in the way of that, and everything else that's associated with mind. Um, so the identity kind of falls away from the person during this seeing, and it's a huge relief. And it affects, the effects are, well, numerous, including the perceptual sense. So stillness is seen, physically seen in everything experienced. Yeah, I like to come back to the experiential because that's what I know to be, there tends to be, especially if it's seen in a kind of one go, then there's a before and after. And so the there's a real shift in terms of psychology, in terms of outlook. A lot of neurosis can drop away, the defenses are blown, so there's being in touch with your vulnerability. So maybe you were defended against it, the sense of like isolation from society, from other people, and suddenly that otherness disappears entirely. So there's just meeting someone and the beauty of that and the intimacy of that, because there's an intimacy with all things. So there's no sense of searching for home, although that can be experienced in a relative sense as well. Like, so it doesn't, there's an initial honeymoon period where I think everything really comes to a stand, that really stands still. Um, so there tends to be a lot of sitting around because you're seeing stuff for the first time. You're seeing trees, you're seeing the wall, you're seeing the chair, you're seeing everything. This kind of fullness and with in its beauty, because everything is seen as perfect in a sense that's neither, beyond the kind of polarity of perfect, imperfect. It just is. Everything's kind of, you know, that beauty that some of the great artists have pointed to and poets have pointed to. It is sort of very small in comparison to the seeing of this, but it points to this. And yeah, so a lot of people have like moments of kind of experiencing that consciousness, maybe just for a few moments of, maybe stillness, maybe just when you're on a holiday or something, and or after some big horrendous event, and suddenly there's this relief and things fall away. So there's a relief, and maybe you're looking at the sea or something, and there's just that stillness. That's kind of the internal sense of it when, but it's incredibly profound. It doesn't, there's no comparison to any kind of other kind of transformation, really. It's is the big one, you know, is, change in reality, change in identity, which isn't to say that, the individual life changes in any way. I think it does during the honeymoon period, but, there is both really. There's normal life that continues and there's the oneness, and so nothing separate that's experienced. In my case, the sense of location hasn't come back. But that doesn't make any difference. So it's really paradoxical. It's, the individual stuff matters as much as it ever did. It might matter more if you're self-destructive, like I was, very self-destructive. So patterns can continue afterwards. If you were very codependent, very doormatty, you might not even think about that because you might be just so at peace that you don't. You might actually be more open and more vulnerable in some ways, but not feeling like that. So if you haven't done any psychological work and you had issues, you might fall into some traps. I know quite a few people who've done that, including myself. So yeah, and some defenses, some early stuff for some people doesn't disappear, I think. So, but yeah, so that sense of boundary goes. This is boundlessness, and the essence of it all is love, which in its early days is incredibly intense. So there's just wanting to soak in that because it comes with a complete acceptance of self, acceptance of other, which can include judgment, of course, because like I say, two levels exist at once. So in the mind, you can judge something, but like just at the same time, there's this radical acceptance. You're not pushing for someone to be other than they are, or I've been saying that. I know some people who have, but yeah, so anything in a way is anything you say about this apart from the obvious end of separation, end of seeking, you can't necessarily universalize all these things because it doesn't really work like that. So yeah, the mind itself can be completely blown, although some rare people never have a mind in the first place. So, but yeah, so the mind can be blown. There's just stillness internally. There's no voice in the head that can dissolve. Which I did here, and at the very least, it's slowed down, so you're not so much living through that kind of story in the head. Certainly, initially, it's very background. Of course, it could become foreground, switch back and forth. But I think when there's any period when there's nothing to do, it kind of defaults to that, and I think that's a lot of people's experience. It defaults to this inner emptiness, and and so you get used to this. In a way, it becomes the new normal, so it's harder to speak about in some ways. And like anyone who's had a big bang, it's like initially you might want to tell everybody about this and then be very disappointed because some people won't be interested, and quite a lot of people maybe. Yeah, so there's the sense of loneliness falls away as well. It's just it's almost like being held. It feels like sort of protected as well. There's something really safe about this. So it tends to crush self-destruction. It did in my case instantly. It was just like stepping into sanity for me, except deep down, if I look at it, it wasn't entirely. I was still making the same mistakes. So that can happen, like I say. But so so it's not necessarily the end to all that, and life can throw up some humdingers, which it does, because that's what life does. Yeah, so, and there's still like Only for me, since time is within the timeless, it's you still experiencing life and change, and um, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're growth orientated. Some people are growth orientated; they want to keep continually evolving. Some people don't seem to be affected that way, and but yeah, the juicy part of it is love, because initially the emptiness can be seen. So it's everything and nothing. That's the seeing. So there's absolute void. There's no objects. There's no people. Nothing. And yet there's all this stuff appearing. So it's form and formless. This is Shakti and Shiva. It's a seeing of that. That's directly seen. It's known. Don't ask me how, but it is. It's kind of seen as well physically, in a kind of weird way. But and everything else seems, I don't know. I think it can be difficult to get used to normal life after this, I think, because you may not want to engage in normal conversation. You may not be interested. It's just so fascinating looking around, and you're more in the beingness. You just want to, I don't know, be with the trees and like and be, it just seems so small. In a way, conversation, the connection is so much deeper. And I think that's always the case. It's like connection goes so much beyond words, because this is beyond the mind, the understanding. Understanding comes later if it comes. Doesn't need to come, but you know. I think that's all right for an introduction. I don't know, like, yeah.
It's makes you want to sleep.
Is that what happened with you? Is it? Oh, right, okay. Right.
Yeah, so
No, right.
hear your voice even when you're breathing.
Oh, unless
It's really hot in here.
oh, I turned it down to 19. I wonder if I should turn it down a wee bit more. Do you want me? I'll turn it down a wee bit more. Yeah. Well, it should be RD soon.
I certainly fall asleep in a lot of podcasts stuff.
Did you go to Roger Linden's?
Yeah, yeah.
Did I recognize you from there?
I've been to one of yours before.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. But I thought I'd recognize you.
I think I recognise you from the Tony Parsons days.
Okay.
I think you used to go there. Didn't you?
Yeah, I used to go with Richard there, Richard Sylvester. I was thinking about the sleep thing when you mentioned sleep, because after this happens, my sleep went out the window. It was kind of like torture, but not torture at the same time. I went out the window for quite a long time as well.
You didn't sleep, or you didn't want to sleep.
I just couldn't. I think so much energy had been, like everything I'd been holding was just blown, and it was just this. It was so alert. I just couldn't. Yeah, that was a bit of a nightmare actually. But again, there's so much peace at the beginning. It's so kind of drunken that,
Do you know when you had a really great day,
Mhm.
and then you don't really care if you're not sleeping or not? It's a bit like that.
Yeah, but not like, because I get a lot of adrenalized states, but not because they're slightly frustrating. It's like you kind of just, if you could, you just switch the off button for those. But yeah, because that's got a really great day. You tend to be buzzing. It's the opposite buzzing in a way, because there's nothing, no cogitation, or there might be in some cases, but just, I think, just that, the wow, that sort of, very subtle kind of, wow, we're just looking at things, but at things, just being incredibly absorbing. It's just, yeah, ongoing kind of samadhi, which isn't conducive to life in general. It's not great if you need to focus, because I mean, I'm sure like some people just get on with it, and like Gary Weber talked about that because his mind was completely blown, but he was a businessman and scientist, and I think, and then he just didn't affect him. He could just go ahead and do this thing. But
How come?
I don't know. I guess, well, you don't need the mind to do things, or maybe it's just his character. I've just never been particularly good at life in general anyway, so I was even worse, like slightly worse. Um,
What your work affected?
what, sorry?
What your work affected?
I wasn't working at the time, thank God. So I was just sitting, I had a balcony and where I was living, and I spent a lot of time in that when I wasn't in the local cemetery, which was a really pretty one, West Brompton. And I would sit there, a couple of benches, my favorite benches, and then I'd walk to Hyde Park and just sit there, and then I'd walk to Knightsbridge and watch the cars, and then I'd walk to Stone Square, and then sit there, and then I'd walk to Fulham and sit. So that's kind of took about 4 hours.
But you feel like time is slow and fast at the same time.
I don't know about slow and fast. No, not necessarily. Just not really aware of time, if you know what I mean. And so I don't know. But I am now like I mean, like for anybody, time can speed up, slow down, can't it? So there is a sense of time, like as in time passing, but not a sense of boredom in the same way. Like that seems to have gone. So it's might be listening to something I kind of hate, but it's not like that horrible energy of boredom. Touch wood, that doesn't come back, but because that's a curse, isn't it? I think of human life, isn't it? Boredom, boredom and ecstasy.
You have a different relationship with social media. Did you have a relationship with it before?
At zero, I didn't exist. I lived under a kind of under stone, really, under rock.
Scroll up.
No, not at all. No, I was just what did I do? I didn't do anything, I don't think. I think I spent about 6 days on my own per week, really. And saw my boyfriend. Which was yeah, was in a relationship that was really it was such a dramatic kind of crazy relationship. But suddenly I was this totally loving person and he didn't know what to do with it. Like I was just like so yeah, initially he kind of ran off, then he came back, and then he kind of ran off again. Now I am.
Did he become a student? What happened to him? Was he just?
Oh, him? No, he's dead. He died. I don't know, he died a couple of years ago. But no, that was makeup.
That wasn't anything to do with you.
No, it wasn't. I didn't murder him. But that should have been conditional. No.
Sorry, that was a
Not
bad.
saying the thought didn't arise.
Right.
Sure, the thought arose for him. Like, yeah, no. No, there's no killing. Yeah, I mean, I was shifting. I mean, personality stays the same, but if you're like operating from defenses, I was for 10 years. Before that, I wasn't. I wasn't defended, so I met some guy. It was a bit of a mistake, and I was quite defended for quite a while, and then bang, this happens. You know, but I was so for about 10 years, I was suicidal, actively suicidal, very self-destructive in a kind of funny way because I did have a good sense of humor still. It never went. Like so I just lived life on the edge, like, and then bang, that all went. Wasn't really interested in drama. I think a lot of people say that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with drama. The occasional drama is quite entertaining, but yeah, it's a relief. But, you know, drama's getting bad press, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, it kind of well, it was
I don't like it.
It doesn't.
I don't like drama.
well, I prefer a simple life to be honest. Like, but you don't like it at all.
No.
Have you ever had drama in life, like for a prolonged period of time, or like
It's family.
Yeah, I think
that one?
I just don't see the utility in it. I mean, as you say, the odd drama is okay, but if it's a habitual drama,
Oh, the same mechanisms playing out, and if it's family, it's
if I
be very stuck, can't
if I
it?
sniff any kind of mechanistic side of it, I'm like, let's just cut to the chase if we can.
Okay, no, I understand that. I mean, the old pattern stuff, and it's trying to suck you back
Yeah.
into the same kind of reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in a different country from my family, so like, yeah, it's different. But did you have a shift?
But not a permanent one. And it's funny, last time I was here, I started talking about Kundalini and how.
Oh yeah, okay.
And so I went off and I've been on a Kundalini adventure for like a year.
Oh really?
Just,
Oh,
we just finished we just both finished our teacher training.
right.
And it was a lot of fun, but I'm not, I've learned some things as life experience, but it's not the answer, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But it's just funny how like, being on this big kind of adventure, doing a lot of Kundalini every day at like 5:30 in the morning.
Kundalini yoga.
Yeah.
But you've had the Kundalini experiences that go with it then, or
I would say I've had nice experiences, but I didn't have the big Kundalini boom that, I mean, no one did really. It was very nice and very deep and beautiful experiences.
like can any you want to share? Because I do find them fascinating.
Well,
You don't have to like
there's some very like it's interesting how we tested the system in many different ways. So, for example, we did a 40-day khichdi fast where you eat a very simple Indian meal.
right.
And that was very beautiful when we ate food again. For me, especially when we ate normal sugar.
Yeah.
When we ate a Western diet again, it was very beautiful. And you know, we walked across fire. Literally, we did fire walking.
Okay.
We did plunging into cold water. Every day for 9 months, I got up at 5:30 and practiced Kundalini, which was a very extremely beautiful thing.
Uh-huh.
And got into real beautiful states, especially on the kind of retreat weekends.
Lots of kind of blissed out samadhi states. So
Yeah, early on, I spent about a month in Samadhi.
oh, nice. Okay.
That was very beautiful. And yeah, it was an amazing experience.
It must still be with you then. I mean, the coming and going of the experiences, because it tends to do that. Or,
I think certainly I have a very regular practice of yoga now. I
okay.
don't need a teacher to do that.
Okay.
And I always needed to be in a class before I would practice. Now I practice on my own. And I can almost create beautiful states by myself in that way.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's almost like I'm working for it. And there's a certain humility in that. Like this for me feels a bit like bhakti yoga,
Right.
where you're actually paying tribute to the divine. And there's a certain effervescence that you get from that. It's almost quite transactional.
Okay.
And I know that's not it, but it's almost like there are patterns, and Kundalini Yoga has established great ways of actually getting delivery from it. But it's very transactional in my experience.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
It doesn't mean you might not put yourself in a situation where something might be more likely, but we know that there's no certainty in getting to the flip side or the, you know.
Oh, the non-dual, you mean, or
Yeah, exactly. There's no guarantee.
yeah, there's not. It's in all the literature, isn't it, that it leads to it, but then it can kick off after awakening. And it has done with me. Although I had Kundalini before, and then I had another Kundalini awakening 2019.
You actually practiced Kundalini?
No, I didn't do the yoga. I just get the experiences, but it tends to be whether I'm either, I think it's hard to say sometimes, but whether I'm either excited or in a, there's fear or there's something negative going on, like so some kind of extreme. Okay, the last one was last week, so I had 4 out of body experiences. Seeing the energy come in, boom, something out of my body, There's different dimensions. In one of them, I was in Glastonbury. Like,
That's where the teacher training was.
oh, really? Okay.
It's beautiful there.
Yeah, okay. It's just interesting with this other dimension stuff. Yeah, but yeah, so I get them quite regularly. I think they haven't stopped since 2019. But mostly kind of trans-dimensional stuff. So other energy coming in and going out, and it coming in and going out. Boom, 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 boom. It's just mad. It's just crazy stuff. Like,
Were you up the tour or something, or was it just in Glastonbury?
um, no, I was actually in the high street, and the bars were closing, so it was like I think it was about 11:30. And I was like, well, I'm out of my body. I can't really drink anyway. Like, it's good. So it's just, yeah. Mm.
So what did, how did you get into this awakening? Like what do you think triggered, or I don't know, I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, right, okay. Triggers. Well,
I mean, or not triggers, I was just saying, has anything triggered or it just happened?
for some people it just happens, and if you're thinking about like what happened prior to it and being kind of significant, well, I would say that um Bob's heard all this before, isn't he? Um, just like
It's been a while.
well, so I was living on the edge. It got extreme, and then some practical stuff in that came in that I just couldn't cope, and it was in the midst of that, just I couldn't do anything. I just was absolutely stumped, and then suddenly, you know, the seeing of nothing and everything was kind of when I was in a restaurant with my boyfriend at the time, and but I didn't know how to eat. I didn't know how to chew stuff. It was kind of funny. No, just yeah. But the whole week had just been I'd been absolutely opened up anyway, so everything was just so amplified and beautiful, and it was just loved by this suddenly seeing nothing and everything, and this kind of horror almost of disappearance, and then that was okay again. Yeah, so there's a kind of shift in the restaurants, and just
But did you know anyone at that time who could explain what was happening?
I'd heard a couple of things. I'd listened to I think I'd listened to Eckhart Tolle a couple of times, but it was all just in the last couple of months, so not a great deal. So I didn't really know what had hit me, and the week prior to it, I'd been out with someone, a non-dual speaker, for a one-to-one, and that's when I had a heart opening, and everything kind of seemed to change from there very rapidly, and it was sort of combined with Kundalini stuff. That morning before the restaurant, I woke up and looked in the mirror, and I saw my 5-year-old self look at me, and not like my 5-year-old self, my actual 5-year-old self. But it was just, and even my boyfriend saw the difference. It's like, he was an artist, so he was like, like the tensions all got out of your face. You look really beautiful. Like he was wanting to kiss me all the time, and and I was just like, so yeah, it just had all this weird stuff around it, and
So you saw yourself in the mirror,
yeah.
and you saw your real. Would you say you saw your real self? Would you say, or what was the significance of your 5-year-old self?
I don't know, maybe just seeing my own innocence or something. Um, and that stayed for about 24 hours, but it seemed to fade out. So it wasn't startling at all, because I'd never had anything like that kind of experience before. It was just suddenly, I don't know any of these experiences. It's kind of almost immediately ordinary. It's bizarre that like it should be a shock, but there's no shock in it. I think because of how I felt, and just before I went to the bathroom, I just saw my boyfriend at the time, and I'd never seen his eyes before, and they were actually an amazing shade of blue. And it's like, wow, like when you really see someone's eyes. I wouldn't have known what color his eyes were really if somebody had asked me. It's just that so in my head, especially at that time. I think for a lot of it, like if you really suffer, it's just mind stuff, isn't it? Constant mind stuff.
But it's funny, when I came here, it's immediately as I saw you, I just felt acceptance straight away.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I feel you were mentioning that earlier, how the judgment, all that drops away. I think there's that environment is created inherently very quickly when you're around, all the non-dual nurses around. So you can imagine when you were seeing these people, you were seeing them with fresh eyes, because maybe the stories had all just dropped away.
Yeah, I guess, but also, I mean, it's not like I don't judge. I mean, that's a problem as well, like, because actually I didn't, and I didn't, because I wasn't in touch with my anger. I was allowing my boundaries to be transgressed, and I didn't recognize unfairness. I didn't recognize when I was wronged. I know, and it just amplified that for me. So more recent years, like I think since that second Kundalini awakening, it's been more like being able to judge. I mean, it's good. You've got to be able to judge in life, like, as well as this, and they both fit together. There's no contradiction there. It's just natural. It's just health, isn't it? Because you've got to learn to discriminate and discern. Like, if you don't, man, you just make mistakes.
So you're saying your mechanism prior was you were too allowing in that sense of other people's bollocks?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was for me, a pattern of, I suppose, narcissistically abusive relationships. That was my history. So I didn't recognize. There's a lot of I'm sorry. That was my mantra. I'm sorry. Sorry. Well, I was thinking it can make you pretty shallow, the saying of this.
You can. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make you a deep person.
Yeah.
But when you do the work after, you deepen like crazy. I think you do. It's good. Like, things start to matter. All this stuff, and I think it's my impression that not everybody sees that, and not everybody. I guess you're forced to confront things. I was forced to, as well, but that was more circumstantial, and the Kundalini stuff helped. I see it as a complete blessing, because I wouldn't have wanted to continue like that. I mean, really too detached, didn't really give a fuck about anything, really. And now stuff matters, like, it really matters. It's different. I'm certainly not perfect. I'm a flawed human being like everyone else, but I care about shit. I do. And I don't know. I mean,
I'm not at that stage yet.
well, I'm saying that, but like,
I think
maybe I was
that's
just
kind of what makes it hard to get folks, because I still do that at my core. I still just don't really care.
oh, right, okay.
I don't really have drive.
Well, okay, drive goes. Yeah.
Drive for anything to achieve, to succeed, to
You don't have that.
progress. No, that
You had
I
that.
don't know. Maybe I had some before, but certainly the awakening was the end of that. It's just like,
Well, maybe it's not even a
there's
drive.
nothing to see, there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go.
And are you saying that
In the very best way.
later?
It's not a drive, though. I mean, that seems to be the way I move, and I think it's probably more like you're doing this training, right? I mean, you're moving in that direction. It's not like a drive is different. It was different before. It's like success and stuff. Yes, of course, I want success. I want these things, but the energy doesn't move like that. It doesn't seem to, not in the same way as it did. Not that it got anywhere where I was concerned, but
All you've done is you put yourself into a relationship. If you're going to be on your own, I'm going to all sorts. You're on your own. But if you put yourself into an environment where you're forced to be in a relationship with other people,
Yeah.
who maybe poke you, prod you, or cajole you, or whatever.
Because even in one-to-one relationships, even in relationships with a partner, I can navigate that and just be what I am and who I am, and so I don't really get challenged or questioned, really. But I chose to put myself in an environment where I knew that was going to happen.
I don't know. But then your 5-year-old did something to you as well, didn't he? Yeah, and that's kind of at the nub of my personal therapy work, and everything that's going on right now is actually
is connecting to him, because it's kind of like I saw him then, and it had this huge transformative effect, or it was connected to this transformative event. But I kind of left it there. I didn't actually dialogue with him. I told him that, but actually I didn't really ever hear anything from him. And actually, that's what I'm trying to do in my therapy, is to connect to him and to have him come out and
That's
speak
awesome.
to me.
Because you said this a few times, just the psychology you had before
Uh-huh.
continues. So unless you work with it, unless you integrate it.
But not all of it shifts.
But
Like,
is that the kind of stuff Bob's talking about?
yeah, it is in that case, but I don't think a narcissistic defense shifts because they're notoriously. I mean, there's this new kind of some people are saying that you can work with a bit. That's the new thing. Richard Garland says you can't. I can't see how it can shift. It's so fragile, and that the wound is so young. I mean, I'm not a clinical psychologist, but listening to people like this, I don't. Yeah, because you see that non-duality doesn't touch that. Doesn't seem to.
Yeah, any narcissist I've ever travelled in my life.
Well, challenging a narcissist.
Waste of time.
Yeah, yeah. There's no end for that, but yeah. So some things you can shift. I mean, the doormat stuff definitely. That's amazing stuff to work with, because that's just getting stronger. I mean, and just realizing that's what you are. All you need to do is like, oh, that's what I am. That's a hell of a lot. Like, just identifying it, just even seeing it. Like, why are you letting yourself be treated a certain way? Why are you making yourself small? Why are you, not discriminating from one person to another? Why are you putting out everybody else first? You just, all these questions you've never asked yourself. So yeah, you do. If you get back in touch with your anger, it's what moves you forward as well. That's your defenses. Without anger,
And is that what therapy training did for you?
no, for me it came later. It came with a Kundalini awakening when I met Satan in hell. I met Satan. That's when I was confronted with all, I
Can you tell
suppose.
us more about that?
Okay, well, all right. So I came back from Northern Ireland one night. I went to bed. Was just sitting in my bed. I had a lot of light at the time. There was a light when I was sitting in a dark room. There seemed to be a lot of white light in the room. So I was just happy sitting on my bed with the light, feeling quite blissy. And suddenly this green kind of circle, almost like a sun, appeared in the ceiling. And the next thing, the whole bedroom vanished, and Satan appeared, and he was about the same age as me. He was good looking. He wasn't astonishingly good looking, but he was black t-shirt.
Al Pacino level, good looking.
It's not my idea. I don't know. Like he's a wee bit hard looking, to be fair. Like, I don't know. Like
This is from a film. The devil with the film.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Well, he knew everything about me, every thought I had, all my darkness, everything, and I knew he knew everything about me. And I wasn't that vulnerable about that. The thing that made me vulnerable was how much I wanted him, how much I desired him, and it was horrific. It was terrifying. And he was offering me everything, but it was more like to be with him as his partner in hell. It wasn't like ruler of earth. He was in hell, I think, as far as I remember. And it was just seeing the way he talked. He was slippery as fuck, but he was so desirable. And it was like, I just remember I felt so small. I felt so powerless. And it was just, how do I get out of this? How do I, because I didn't have my no or anything. And it was like, so he came over to me at one point. He was just really natural to me. Like, I knew him really well. And, showed me, this is quite cheesy, but he showed me a tattoo he had. And it was kind of like some sort of fascist scene. And I just said something like, "Oh, that's a bit of a cliche." And he just yelled at me, and it was the most fucking violently loud voice. And it was like, "You don't count." And suddenly there's this like hole in reality appeared, and I could see the back of someone, like they were sitting in a bar with a pint, like some guy or something. He just disappeared into that, and the whole disappeared, and suddenly it was back in my bed. I'd been to heaven just before. I should probably should explain that. I was in heaven first. And in heaven, I was aware of my body in the bed as well as being in heaven. So I came back from that, felt quite smug, and then suddenly the hell thing happened. But and yeah, so I was quite shaken, but only for about half an hour. And when I finally went to bed, I closed my eyes and I saw flames because there were flames all around at first. Yeah, I haven't talked about this in a while, but yeah, the bedroom was full of flame. But so I didn't know about narcissism. Of course, narcissistic injury, the slightest insult, tiny little insult, it was a tattoo. Oh, how dare you insult my tattoo? It's the biggest thing in the world. But yeah, just seeing all the evil in yourself, all the potential, not evil, but the potential for that, because we all have it, like, and the desire for power, which was in me, which I didn't want to see, but I couldn't. There was no escape in it. It was just, this is you, this is in you. And it was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. And just, yeah, so it just changed me. Started to see things very, very differently. Um, oh, yeah, Mr. Sane. It's not my boyfriend. So, yeah.
That'll be on back.
Satan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
No, he did.
It was very different. That was recently. It was about 6 weeks ago, maybe.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know if it was the same Satan because it was different. But I was on my bed, living somewhere else, and he was sat by my bed with his arm around me, and I remember leaving my body. I went to some other reality, and it was kind of beautiful, and I was really enjoying being in this other reality. And suddenly I felt this tightness around my throat, and I thought, I've left my body on the bed with Satan. I better get back. And I don't know, like whatever the sort of freaking out about that. Suddenly it was back in my bed and it was all gone. It was just like that. And I didn't feel any fear until, but yeah, it was very different that it wasn't like a comfort, that it was just Satan by my bed. So yeah.
Sends tingling up my spine.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I've met more demons than I've met a couple of angels, I suppose, but not demons, not winged. I assume they're angels. I don't know, but mostly demons. A lot of demons. Yeah, does make you question what this is, I suppose. But go home and have nightmares.
Why the spinal tingles?
I just find when I'm in a sort of deep setting, and people start talking about supernatural, I just get a bit of a tingle. Because I feel like sometimes that energy like that comes in the room. I don't see it.
Okay.
I kind of feel the presence.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like when I was younger, I kind of chased out some things like that. I looked straight in the eye of that kind of thing, and
So you weren't you were able to confront it basically, or
that kind of energy of like a nightmare. I've never, when I was young, I used to have nightmares, and then I started looking them straight in the eye and sort of being, you don't have any kind of power here.
oh wow, okay, because that's what you're supposed to do, isn't it? Like in all the books.
Well, yeah, I think I watched The Exorcist when I was a bit too young,
But no.
and I had to myself sort of, if there's something there, I need to look at it, and it doesn't have any power over you if you actually look it straight in the eye.
But being able to do that, people, you might learn that, but doing it is a different thing, isn't it?
I always think it's the most natural thing,
Okay.
but yeah, it's easy and hard at the same time. I think we all know that we have to look these things straight in the eye, but it's
Yeah.
easier said than done. But for me, that seems to happen quite easily. But
That's brilliant. I mean, I don't know that I always can. I've seen demons and well, I suppose I felt cocky once because I was like, I'm out of my body, you can't touch me, and I got bit, and that really hurt. And I thought, oh no, it doesn't help. I'm out of my body, So it's like that. But yeah. Or a confrontation, or yeah, I've heard that in near-death experiences, people confronting and saying, go away, I'm waiting for Jesus or something, I don't know, whatever the hell, and it seems to work, right?
It's funny, it is almost that power of Jesus, and it's so cheesy in a sense, but it's this sort of it can't actually withstand the glare, it can't withstand being seen.
Yeah, yeah,
It just falls apart under that examination.
yeah. No, it is interesting as well, and somehow in an other reality that can exist, it has its own existence, doesn't it? Like those archetypal forms seem to be very real, like Jesus, God. Depends what you experience, but so yeah, it's, I don't know, because that evoking something, whether it's light or prayers, it has a power. It's for sure it does. I guess not in every case, but who would know? But
It's a metaphor, isn't it, for something?
maybe not. Maybe it's literal on some level. I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works, like, but you know.
Yeah, that concept of looking it in the eye definitely resonates with me. And actually, your question about do I not, what's the question? Do I not mind?
If you are uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, yeah, in that kind of inquiry, sitting here and listening to this conversation, I realise that there's a part of me, and I think it's the very deepest part of me, that in under that kind of stressful inquiry, or even confronted with something like that, there's a part of me that says, fucking destroy me, go on, mate. Absolutely dare you. Go for it.
So you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's only with this conversation unfolding that
It sounds like a surrender, sort of like
yeah. Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of in the first Star Wars movie, right? Obi-Wan standing in front of Darth Vader, and he switches his lightsaber off and says, go on. And if you do that, you're going to make me more powerful than you could have ever dreamed of. You know? And that's it. Yeah, it's that surrender. The first Star Wars. So he just drops his sword ultimately and says, kill me.
you could have
And
fought
you'll make me immortal. Yeah.
I think I'd like to be able to say that. I don't know if it's true for me. Like, it's more like go away.
It's
Like,
exciting.
oh no, it sounds really powerful. It really does. Yeah, I think I was more like, it was a different thing though. When I was self-destructive, there was a certain part of it wasn't quite like that, but it was a kind of daring, you know. But yeah, there was fear behind it. Just doesn't sound like there is in your case. It's more.
Not now, no.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I feel like that's a definite post-awakening that I can confirm that now.
Right.
Yeah.
But you said that you don't feel like you have motivation, nothing kind of, but yet you went through a whole cycle therapy
Yeah.
training, which requires quite a
Well,
lot.
on the one hand, I sit here and I think, yeah, it's just something to do, isn't it? You must do something whilst I'm here. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right to call it out. It's paradoxical as well, isn't it? At the same time, there is something that wants to
And when you talk, you don't sound like someone who is not,
not connected,
Motivated,
not
or-
passionate.
yeah.
But this
On the
is
contrary, you have a lot.
this is a topic that this now I remember why I'm supposed to be in this room. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. I agree. And yet,
Yeah.
I have two views. You know, it's like, so there's the part of me that sits here and says, you know, I'm just destroyed. I'm halfway through this course and I'm just destroyed and I've got nothing left. But I guess the thing is, what I do know is I know that I have the choice of another perspective. I can just go sit there and you know, survey the whole scene from a place of, you know, in terms of the being of all things, and it's just, you know, that's
Yeah,
just the
but-
drama that you chose. You know, it's just the drama that you're playing out. So, but I choose to immerse my character in this part of the story right now that I'm I'm resisting the urge to get myself out of the pool and sit comfortably on the side, just to make myself feel comfortable right now in this process of the therapy.
Oh, it's
I
interesting.
think if I stay immersed, then because it's not really going to work, right? If I keep getting out of the pool and drying myself off and sitting there, it's
Oh, you have a choice.
what needs is enough pressure needs to be brought to bear to bring about the implosion of the structure that is the part of the persona that's holding out the, you know.
I mean, the fact that you are aware that you have to be marked all the time.
Mm.
Because sometimes, I mean, you just get out of it without realizing, and then after a while, you're, oh, I'm not out of the pool. I need to get myself out. But you are constantly aware that you are in the pool and you choose to be in the pool. Does that make sense?
Yes, and you know, when I say I don't get, I mean, you know, I sit and watch TV, and I do think that, you know, they're going to distract.
Yeah.
But I see that I do make a conscious choice to not give this character in this particular story an out. The spiritual bypassing thing, you know, get out, just go sit in the cave and go on, and everything will be fine.
You know, the tiger's jaw.
Yeah, and I know the payout of that. You know, that's the thing. Everything you've spoken about, it was just the product of pressure.
It's like, did you know this the dream that Jung had of one of his clients? You heard about that?
No.
He had a female client. I don't know what her issue was, but Jung had been working with her for a while, and there wasn't much progress being made. He had a dream one night in which she was in a cauldron, and she was trying to get out of the cauldron, and Jung just kept pushing her back into the cauldron and yelled at her, no, not out, through. And he realised that she was trying to get out, get out of the pool, as you say, but you actually have to stay in it through it.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I thought about the spiritual bypass thing, right? You know, I said to my therapist recently, I said, well, I can't really locate my pain because I transcended my pain, like, you know, 15 years ago. And I genuinely did. But it's not as useful as it sounds, actually. And in terms of, you know, if I work with people, I say, yeah, no, the only way out is through. And I absolutely fucking believe that, you know, and I will walk beside you as we go through. But what I see that spiritual bypassing allows you to do is that you're in the middle of the forest and you've got to get to the other side. But spiritual bypassing is a helicopter that you can just go and just land safely somewhere comfortable.
But that's why it's harder. You've actually got a choice in that moment to be in it or not be in it. Like you really do.
Yeah, and I know how easy it would be for me to just sit there and go, you know what? Yeah, I sit and but I can the two things coexist at the same time.
But young people are not aware of that, are they? Spiritual bypassing when they do it.
But do you know what? I was going to say to you, I would have said for 10 years that I didn't do it, but.
Sorry.
I've been aware of everything that's happened in my life, and I've been aware of.
Isn't that like escaping pain at the end of the day?
Yeah.
You can do that with anything.
I think it's something really. It's a fabulous skill to be able to develop, you know, because it does give you an out in moments of extreme pressure that might prove useful.
You mean it's
Just to be able to, you know, to stop a program that's running, or it's a useful facet to develop, but it can't be your only trick. You also need to be.
Yeah, I suppose for other people, like you could dissociate out of it as well, can't you? So dissociation, mind, or out of body, or whatever. Otherwise, it's drink or drug, but it's not. Like it's sitting in a sort of samadhi state completely, just in the kind of bliss. Like it's a healthy place to be, isn't it? So I think it's kind of harder because I've spent time in the weekend workshops, just being in that, like, and because it's so juicy, you know.
Well, you become addicted to that.
I don't know if it's addiction. It's just an easy default. you know, and to be honest, it is like, I mean, you know, when you listen to Eckhart Tolle, you haven't listened to this stuff, but like Eckhart Tolle, you know, be in the now and stuff.
Some stuff.
Okay, well, that whole idea, like, well, that's it. You can be in, you know, you can really just be. That's an option. And everything, you know, you can just escape to that, and knowing that's kind of healthy, and you can do that, and it's sane, and problems aren't, when the mind is not there, where your problems, etc., like you can just hang out in that. Like, I mean, I didn't know what my issues were, you know, till, like say, 2019. So, but it's yeah, if the mind isn't there as well, actually, it's quite hard to access stuff, because it's not like you can't think with it. Well, I don't know. There's some people who just don't have thought at all, but if your default is no mind, you're not even thinking of problems to bring up to fucking work on. It's just difficult. I don't know. So I mean, you're on the ball with it by the sound of it. Like, I think more than I was, for sure, because
Does sound like sitting in a graveyard or a London park is in a central park process.
I think though, like if you've been through, yeah, if you've been through like a lot of struggle, like it must be amazing to your body just to sit and do nothing and be absolutely at peace. And you know, and it was quite addictive, because at some point you can't do that forever, and why would you want to? But yeah, I mean, that's just awesome. But then it becomes the new normal in a way, like, you know. But some people don't really get that. Like, it's all in every case it's different, isn't it? But most people do get a honeymoon period, especially if it's seen in kind of in a dramatic way, because it's, yeah, yeah, man, who cares? And particularly because for me it was like May, so, and it was sunny. It was sunny, and everything was fresh, and it was just like, fuck the sky. Like, mm.
But what I'm hearing is that you sound like there's a bit of choice, and I don't think there really is ultimately a choice in if you spiritually bypass or you're not. It's just at a certain point, I feel like you click to it if it is a bypass.
But you need to know that there is a bypass. You could easily just go on thinking there isn't, and I think a lot of people do, and they just get stuck where things don't shift, or they don't even recognize that the same problems are re-emerging, because that's what happens in life, isn't it? Your original constellation, your family, it just re-emerges. You meet somebody, you go, oh, I think I ought to be with this person because it feels familiar. It's familiar for all the psychological reasons, you know, like it's not necessarily good. So we don't know what we're doing unless we sit down. Something makes us twig, you know, like,
But that's the something makes us twig. I don't think we can always take ownership of that.
no, we can't. Yeah, because you could watch. I mean, there's so much on YouTube now that talks about this stuff. You could watch something, it'll just go over your head, and then what it is that, you know, when the lights go off, yeah,
You
I know.
you can't make it happen when you through your search and your stuff that you're doing. You can arrive at it at some point, I'm guessing.
But this is
Yeah, it was.
the enigma of practice, isn't it? You could argue that all of life is a practice.
Yeah, you could.
So when they say you get this with no practice, well, you've led a life up to that point. So it's sort of like you can't help but practice.
Yeah, in a way, you could say that. I mean, it's mysterious, and then for some people, it seems like almost really like a lot of synchronicities, and it seems very much like it's orchestrated somehow, and you see it come. I don't know, like there's some bizarre things, like reading a passage in a book, and you know, so it's interesting how the story of how it happens is really fascinating. Actually, everybody wants to know that, don't they? But then sometimes, you know, very often it's banal as well, isn't it? But even that's kind of interesting, just because lives are interesting. What else?
I love the patterns in it. Like there does seem to be a point. A lot of I don't know people I meet in London. That like Eckhart Tolle, he was in Bloomsbury.
Oh yeah,
Roger Linden was walking across Hampstead Heath. If I remember correctly, there's I don't know. It's London. I used to think when I was young was just the city.
uh-huh.
I kind of feel like it's a theme park of spiritual growth as well.
Oh right, okay, yeah, I forgot about that. Wasn't Wasn't Roger ended up a tree in Hampstead Heath?
Yeah, so
That's right. Okay. He just walked home and sort of thought about what happened. Yeah, I remember Eckhart Tolle sat in that. Yeah, just by Birkbeck.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's I think it's graveyard as well. That one. There's a little graveyard near.
Oh, is there? Okay. Right. Yeah, I used to sit in there years ago. Go to Senate House Library.
Mm.
No. So I don't know any other parks people have frequented. For me, it was West Brompton Cemetery. I don't know.
That whole Senate House area is very strange. Comes up so often because you know they use it in films all the time.
Do they? I didn't realize. Okay.
Yeah, most of Christopher Nolan's films have some scene set in
Oh,
Salisbury.
I was there when I was doing my psychology degree, but I was always in the wrong departments, psychiatry or literature. I was never in the psychology. I think procrastination. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a great library, like, but I didn't go to the rest. I didn't go to Birkbeck. It wasn't a uni, so
You studied psychology.
what? Sorry.
Did you study some psychology?
Yeah, this shit university.
I'm sure they'd be flattered to hear.
Actually, I really liked it. I liked my lectures. They were really cool. They're really sweet. So yeah, I'm really glad I went where I went because I went to Queen's first of all in Northern Ireland, and I messed up. I did social anthropology and just messed up because I went to Amsterdam to live to do one of the semesters, and that's not good. I never recovered from that. Like, you know. Anyway, yeah, ran off to Berlin the day of an exam. I don't know, as you do.
No,
Would you
I'd
not?
like to, but I wouldn't. I would
Oh, right, okay.
painfully do the exam most likely.
Oh, well, lucky you. Well, I did later. I mean, I did the psychology degree. I got through that easy enough. And then, yeah. But yeah, actually, I had a muesli addiction in Amsterdam. It wasn't weed at all. I was addicted to muesli.
Usually,
Yeah, that was not weed. It was muesli. A really
I
big
take it
muesli.
this isn't some kind of hard drug name. I don't
No, it was actual, yeah, like granola stuff, like real problem. Because I used to be a compulsive eater, like it stopped years ago, but so I just went to Amsterdam, came back.
You got some of that continental European muesli. and
Oh, it wasn't posh muesli, like it was more like Harvest Crunch and stuff like that. Anyway,
I mean, the little baby
Lots of
milk
honey.
chocolate.
yeah, chocolate. Anyway, it's not very relevant. Let's go back to non-duality. Okay. Has it affected your internal sort of like peace, or are or are you not sort of judging it, just what's going on for you with
Yeah, I think I gave that a while ago anyway.
okay,
Yeah,
you give it up, like what, you just weren't interested?
peace. No, peace. I mean, it's quiet in here, but that internal peace, that resonance.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's many facets of living in life in this society that can get in the way of experiencing and being with that,
I think if you say it's,
working and paying bills.
oh yeah,
It's just all having to do stuff.
what's awful,
It's having to do stuff.
it's evil, isn't it?
That just gets in the way of everything. That gets in the way of me doing exactly what I want to do. It's pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
I just literally want to be.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's crushing, isn't it? And every time you sort of think you know how you function and operate, some other thing that you haven't experienced before comes up and goes, I don't know.
I think what I'd like to do is just it. Right? It's just to sit, just chair and just, be with and talk about that, which I find important. And I don't want to get paid for it. I don't want to have to get paid for it. I don't want all the rest of the mechanics. It's just bollocks, isn't it? I don't know.
Oh, I'm really excited about stuff again, really inspired and stuff, like, which is great. Like, so I don't know. Yeah.
What's the saying about that? Mountains become mountains again.
Oh, yeah, mountains are not mountains then. I don't know what the phrase is.
First there's a mountain, then there is no mountain, then there is.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
What was that? Sorry.
First there is a mountain, then there is no mountain, then there is.
Yeah.
That's the song, anyway.
Yeah.
So the reintegration back into life happens after you kind of with it.
So you are in the process.
Yeah. Yeah, it changes stuff. It was easy to live a carefree existence out there, and now there's stuff here that involves you caring and doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine some people just get stuck without it. Like, I mean, it's just like a default. If nothing challenges you, I don't know what that would be like. I mean, I'm so glad. I think you be the same. You're in the midst of it, like, but I mean, it's ongoing, isn't it? Like evolving, psychologically, it's just ongoing. But fuck, I'm so glad of meeting Satan. Like, I really am. That's apart from the biggest thing being the shift. That's the next biggest thing that happened to me.
Do that all day, right? Read books and do that. I feel like that's kind of what I'm good at. I feel alive then. It doesn't make me feel alive to pay bills and go to work and stress and strive. Yeah.
Well, you're carrying a lot then, though, doing the training, doing all that, aren't you? And it's a lot. No, you don't think so? Okay.
Yeah, I do, but yeah, that's it.
Do you think like maybe there's an element of I'm familiar with all your experience of knowing yourself?
Do I know myself, or is
No,
that
just
well, maybe.
wondering whether there's an element because I don't understand obviously what you're going through.
Mhm.
But I kind of find sometimes I experience that. But I wonder for myself whether it's something that I know myself not to feel some of the stuff that I'm trying to escape.
Okay. And how do you do that when you numb yourself? What does that look like? What do you do to escape?
I just feel like you said I don't have any motivation for anything.
Okay, I don't care about it. Yeah.
I would just sit and I'm kind of, But obviously things can be the same, but they cannot be the same at the same time. I'm not saying it's the same experience. I'm just kind of putting it out there.
Yeah.
In the situation.
Appreciate that. We'll take that to my therapy. No.
But I mean,
Potentially, yes.
For me,
Yes.
in my situation, the way I became aware of this, because I'm doing therapy as well.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm in the process of therapy, I'm feeling the stuff that I don't want to feel.
Yeah.
So and I do it unconsciously, numbing. It's just something that is I do it so well that I'm not aware of it. So I don't know, I'm just kind of saying something too.
How's Martin? By the way,
Where's it?
you floating? Just while we've got 3 minutes left. Thought I'd say hi to Martin. Yes.
Quite sure years ago, I met the Christian devil.
All right.
Met him too.
Yeah, he told me
Was he handsome? Mine was. He told you what?
he didn't really exist, but because hundreds of millions of people believed that he was there, he said he was gradually fading. It's basically like 600 years to fade out and disappear.
So he doesn't exist.
Well, I stopped using it, I'm having a conversation with it.
Well, that's interesting. So he existed because everybody believed in him.
Yeah.
That kind of goes a wee bit with some of Tim Freak's thinking.
There's also the saying the devil's greatest trick was to persuade us that he didn't exist.
Oh yeah, but somehow that wasn't. There's no method for it.
Okay.
Like, do you know how it felt? Horrible, but I've never stabbed him. But there's something that energy that's playing around with it. What do film people do with it? So, Yeah. A lot of my friends, I think I should explain this to some people. Some people have been terrified. Other people are really funny. Some people just go, I just wouldn't mention, I wouldn't mention it to a member, anything like that. So anyone who actually believes in the devil and the old Christian thing, we're still caught up in it. It wouldn't be known to them. So.
What did yours look like?
He was a man. I can't remember.
You can't remember too much, can you?
He was there in the room, but that was just it wasn't him. It was massive, bigger than the planet.
Oh, right,
Because
okay.
the person was there to talk to me. So the image bit out of focus.
Okay.
I take a load of mushrooms, so I was
Oh, right, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah.
without the mushrooms, I'd be too analytical or something, but this went along with it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
You had mushroom.
magic mushrooms. Yeah,
And then you saw it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Did it change you?
Sometimes a bit of my religious upbringing got weak out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
After meeting Satan, your religious upbringing went, oh yeah, that can happen, yeah, I get that.
yeah, yeah. The whole nightmare, complicated thing.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. It meant well. From the whole religion, they meant well, but something a nightmare. Yeah.
Well, we kind of, that's it, 30 seconds to go. It's just, next time I'll remember to write to my email list. I get worried. No. But actually, it was enough. It was quite lively. I quite enjoyed that. I don't know if you did.
Thank you.
That's
always good.
Thanks for coming.
Right.